Okay, folks, I'm here today talking to Marcus Terrell Smith. And why am I excited? Because there's about 50,000 things that you should know about him. So, my signature interviews usually start off with the most important question or something that'll get you off guard. So, I want to know this. You have a BA in linguistics. So, here's the
Hmm.
question relative to this. Does your expansion in education relative to linguistics help with interpreting scripts better?
I agree. I did linguistics because I enjoyed how languages were set up. I like syntax and semantics and all that good stuff, and seeing how people interpret things different, especially when it comes to language. German and Spanish were my two concentrations. And so, coming from a musical theater background, I got to be studied a BFA there before I switched to linguistics. But it
Okay.
really helped me to find more depth, I guess, in characters.
Okay.
There's a tone, there's a tempo, there's a rhythm when it comes to word choice. I love scripts that sound like poetry. That makes sense.
It
So
does.
things that have a musicality to them because I'm a musical theater person. And so when I look at linguistics and I look at the way words are formed and how they can mean incredible things, like this word can be mean bigger than that one. And I fell in love with that type of stuff. So when I do look at a script, it informs me a lot about the character, about the part of the location that they're in, where they're at emotionally or physically,
Sure.
spiritually, that whole thing. So yeah, it's definitely it's a plus in helping me interpret a lot of things and gives me a lot of knowledge about the character.
Because I know what your major is, that would expect me to ask the question, how many books are in your corral at this point in time? Because I bet there's a bunch of them.
Well, there is a three-part series that I've been developing for a while. It's a horror sci-fi fantasy thing. That's going to be coming out soon. We're going to believe on that. But I do a lot of narrative lore writing for different gaming companies. So I write for
Okay.
Magic the Gathering. I write for League of Legends. I've done some, what's that called? I've done some contests and things that I've won. So yeah, writing books and short stories and they're an integral part of my career as a writer and an artist. Yeah.
Sure. Now, I want to ask the question that most people ask me, and probably you and others, which is if someone's watching this today and they're considering becoming a writer, things have changed so much. The landscape is so different, how to get seen, how to get published, etc. So,
Yeah.
whether it's a newbie or a veteran or even an older person, what would you suggest? What's a good start point for somebody who's not degreed?
Not degree, just write. I would say a lot of people they wait to do it until the perfect thought will hit them. I'm all about just throwing things on the page and seeing where it comes out. I'm actually in a writers group, and we talk about engineers or gardeners. I think it's what it is. Like I think that's what it is. Engineers or gardeners, but
Okay.
engineers will put a whole structure together and outline it and all that stuff like that. Me, I garden, meaning I go and I see what grows, and then I can, snip here, snip there, or landscape it a bit. So I think if everybody can kind of start from, this is my opinion, from a gardener standpoint, and just say, I have this idea and I'm just going to throw it on the page and see what happens because if it's an empty page, it's an empty page, you
Yeah.
know? And so you got to do that barf draft, and then you got to what do we got? Then you can take it and refine it and make it into something that everybody can enjoy, you know. And once you
Yes.
have that, you feel accomplished. I think that's a big thing is feeling like you've done something, and then once you do that, then you can jump to the next step.
Oh, you betcha. Now, when I was doing some research on you, I learned that you actually started your career at age 9.
I
Now,
did.
most of us are literally walking around playing, throwing rocks, and not even paying attention to what we want to do with our life. So, what was that defining moment for you where you were like, yeah, this is it. This is how I know?
It's interesting. So I didn't realize I could sing until I was around 8. And then my mom was like, do that again. And so I sang, and she's like, what? And then she talked to my dad, and then I had to sing for
Sure.
him. And then she had me start singing for all of our friends. And I was like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing. And then she says, we have to do something with this. So then she put me in Phoenix Boys Choir. Well, they put me in Phoenix Boys Choir. And I found that I was pretty good. I enjoyed singing in an ensemble. I enjoyed, learning music, and it just inspired me more to play instruments and things. But it wasn't until I went to where was it? I had auditioned for Honors Boy Choir, which was in Chicago, and
Okay.
they had me sing this what was it? PAA Sue. I had to sing that or something. And so then we all sat around with me, my mom, the director, and then some other people. We all listened to my tape. And
Mhm.
so tape back in the day, and I listen, I'm only 22 years old, you guys. No, but
Ah, funny.
yeah, I put it on cassette, I guess, and we listened to it, and then it was kind of like everybody kind of looked at me, and I heard, I said, I sound pretty good.
Yeah.
And they said, well, and then they said they invited me to be a part of it, and I was like, you know, I think this could be something I could really grow to enjoy, and so then
Hmm.
that's what started the the boulder rolling down the hill to get me there.
Oh, you betcha. Now, as far as on the singing side of things at this point, or vocally speaking, how often do you have an opportunity to utilize that skill set of yours?
Pretty often, I would say. So musical theater has been a big deal. So like it's funny, in high school, I kind of took a step back and I was doing orchestra. So I played string bass and violin. And then I said, let me get back to singing my senior year.
Okay.
That's when I was introduced to musicals and all that stuff. And I said, okay, going to college. Then I got myself a voice teacher. I got into the musical theater program. And then it was kind of just an everyday thing where I was auditioning for something or trying to create something. Like I moved to New York, and I would just crash auditions constantly. Let me sing for you. Let me sing for you. Let me sing for you.
Yeah.
And so then that led to me getting a career in musical theater. I was in Book of Mormon for a while. I did a lot of
Yep.
regional theater for a while. I do a lot of new shows. And me now, because I write my own stuff, I'm always singing my own stuff. So
Of course.
I get to use it to make demos and to show it to people and stuff like that. So I use it quite a bit still, which I'm happy about.
And one might actually assume then that because you have such a voice and you create your own music, I guess that means your love life would go very well because who would resist somebody who can actually serenade to them? That's
Oh,
awesome.
it's awesome. But I mean, I get nervous. I was like, sing for you by yourself. I have to really, really love you for that. I guess.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
You have to
Point
prove
taken.
yourself worthy for the one-on-one, I tell you.
Amen to that one. There you go.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Surprisingly, this isn't where skill set stops, by the way. So I found it interesting that you do graphic design. I did not know that.
Yes.
I actually saw that. And so tell me a bit about how that type of art form in your mind differentiate. How is it different? Meaning, how are you still creating art? Because most of us artists just want to create. It doesn't matter what format we're doing it in. So tell me a bit about how graphic design can be an art form.
Well, the thing is that so I create a lot of uh, pitch materials for different
Got
producers
it. Okay.
and different things around LA. So story time. When I moved to LA, I always have ideas. I have a lot of movie ideas. I have a lot of script ideas. I have a lot of musical ideas. But
Sure.
the way you have to present it to get somebody to look at it is you got to show them this pitch deck of sorts.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I was like, oh, okay. So how do I make that? And then nobody would tell me. I think they were trying to keep it a secret. And so I was kind of like, okay, then I guess I have to do it myself, you know. And that's kind of what sparks everything. It's like nobody's going to help me. I'll do it myself.
Got
But
it.
then I saw the pitch decks that were out there, and I saw examples, and they're very, you know, plain. They gave you information, but they didn't really evoke an emotion, I
Yeah.
guess. And that's what gets you seen is like people have a feeling about you or a color inspires them or something. And
Yeah.
as an artist, I like to make things that are thought provoking, that make people think and stop and consider those type of things. And so I was like, I can use my love for art, for color, for design and stuff, and use it to get this idea across to
Yeah.
somebody. It was kind of a fun challenge to figure out how can I do that to just get the call, you know, get my foot in the door. And so I kind of looked at what they did and I said, I'm going to make it look like a painting, you know, whatever this is, it's going to look, you know, magical and interesting and different. And so I started doing that and I got to play with different, you know, forms and color and angles and things. And I taught myself Adobe Illustrator and Keynote and all that stuff because again, nobody was going to help me. So I was like, let me just utilize that. And so even though you're creating something that's gonna for somebody else that they're paying you for, but it's I find the joy in it is that I get the message across, and did they get the job? Then I know if I did my job, if they got the job. So yeah.
And nowadays, pitch decks are like a necessity. I mean, literally, all of us are having to either teach ourselves, hire somebody to do it, that sort
Hmm.
of stuff. We're kind of in that gray area at the moment where film and TV, it's just tough to get financed on the indie level. It's been really, really hard.
Very
So now you
true.
guys have a go-to here, pitch deck guy over here.
Hey, I'm here. Send me an email. I
There
am
you go.
fast and good at it. So okay.
Wonderful. Now, you and I have a sad commonality, which I didn't realize until I started looking at your backstory. My father passed away 7 months ago.
I'm so
And
sorry.
thank you. And I understand that your mom had passed away as well. And you
Mhm.
spoke very highly of her. In fact, of all the things that I've read and I know of you, one of the things I could say is she's probably the reason why you're so successful and so secure in yourself. It sounds like she was a consummate cheerleader.
Yeah,
So we want to brag about mom for a minute. So tell us about
absolutely.
your mom.
Rosemary Smith, the rock, the joy of my life. She went on to her next adventure, as I like to say, because nothing is destroyed; it's just changes. So she's over there doing something. I don't know what she's. I feel like she's working. She came to me in a
Okay.
dream. She was like, "Yes, of course I'm working." I was like, "All right, do your thing." But no, she was my biggest cheerleader. Still is, I would say. And she,
Okay.
yeah, so she was all about persistence. And so she made sure that if I ever felt discouraged or anything, I would take my time to wallow, but no, you get back on the horse and you pick it up,
Oh,
right? And so,
yeah.
and she always had this phrase. She says, "The only thing you have is your name," and that always sits in my head all the time.
Okay.
It's only so you have to defend it, and you got to make yourself synonymous with good work, with responsibility, with being a dependable
Yes.
person, and all that stuff. And so, having that constantly in my head, it fuels the work that I do. I try to do
Mhm.
work that is I try to do things. I'm tooting my own horn because of her. I feel I do exceptional work. I do things that I go above and beyond because I know to be seen in this industry or to be noticed, you have to do what's out of the norm. And she was a champion of doing that type of stuff. So like Phoenix Boys Choir, like we had to go on tour and that cost money, and
Yeah.
so she would raise this money and somehow I got to go. And like if I had a show out in New York or in in LA or Atlanta, she was got my plane ticket. I'm gonna be there to support you, those type of things where others might be like, can't afford it right now. She's like, I'm gonna make it work. And so she was
Mm.
at every show. She drove me to when I was at, she had this story time again. I like to tell stories. So she had this old Chrysler, like this gold Chrysler. It was
Uh-huh.
kind of a small thing, but I played string bass. So I had this huge bass. I always do this because
Okay.
and so we would somehow squeeze it into the car. She'd be in the driver's seat, I would be behind her, and we would truck this thing all around town so that I could go. I was in Tempe Youth Symphony and just always gave me an outlet to express myself. And, even though we would run around this dinky car, I got there, and just speaks to who she is. And,
Oh,
you know, and just the support that she gave. Just love
yeah.
her. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. So yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
I want to talk about the actor for a moment because you've been in these old tiny little shows, and he's so
Uh,
humble, by the way. Abbott Elementary, NCIS, Modern Family, just to name a few. So,
uh,
two questions about that. First of all, folks, if you take a look at him, he doesn't look like the average person, does he? From the way your face looks to the way your hair is done, and he's 6'6". Okay, so I gotta ask this: you must get cast all the time because you're huge. I'm like, I don't know anyone who's 6 foot
uh,
six. How did that happen?
yeah, there are parts that I've gotten that I go, oh, I kind of knew, like, you're a
Yeah,
bouncer, number one, you're police officer or guard and stuff like that.
sure.
And I go, you use your assets, it's just like saying, hey, this is what I have. I'm in an industry that's about looks, that's about, your appearance. So
Yeah.
you can't deny it. So you just got to go with what you got. And so, with me being on those shows, there's a lot of shows that I've also done that I wasn't considered like you wouldn't think I would do that part, I would say. Like,
Okay.
well, I guess I was a firefighter in some things. I'm looking back like I'm like, hmm. I guess it's more theater stuff that is
Ah,
kind of like not. I was like one of the Who's, and I was like the tallest Who in Whoville in the Grinch. And I was like, thank you guys. But it's like everybody's like 5'5" and I'm up tall. So but yeah, but just again, you rely on the makeup and the hair of people and stuff like that. But I think
Oh, yeah.
being your authentic self in this industry
Hmm.
is kind of refreshing to know that people are doing it. I think for casting directors and things, they're like, this person is authentically them. They, of course, they can change clothes, hair, all that stuff like that, but
Sure.
they're just being true to who they are. And so
Okay.
I think that's what gets me a lot more parts than just the look.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I thought, because I was going to ask you, I'm like, if you were to advise other actors, do you think that you can kind of tweak? I mean, obviously you can't change your height, but are there
Yeah.
ways that you can change your look? And would you recommend that? And moreover, have you tried to be a doppelganger for Giannis? Because I think you and Giannis Antetokounmpo are the same size, my Milwaukee
Oh,
Bucket.
really? I
Yes.
have not tried
I'm
that,
just trying to hook a
but
guy up, okay? I'm just saying
I
everybody
get
knows who Giannis is,
you.
okay?
I get you. But
But but no, from a
go
looks
ahead.
perspective,
hmm I have like again, you see the beard and everything.
yeah,
Sometimes I have a full beard. Sometimes I try to do this. My hair was short at one time, you know. But then it's interesting. I would say I tried when I first in this industry. I kept saying I was 6'4", and so people would be like, "How tall are you?" 6'4". And then a casting director went, "No, you're not." And I went, "I'm not." She's like, "My husband is 6'4". You're not 6'4". And I was like,
ah,
"Well, I guess I'm just gonna be authentically me, you know." And then there's other auditions and stuff that I've gone on where I've tried to, you know, I'm gonna tell you this funny story. When I first auditioned, when I first got here, I got on Grey's Anatomy, and I put on this kind of police shirt, and then I printed out like a police badge and the other things, and I put tape on them and I stuck them all over. So then I
okay.
was like, I'm a police guy, you know. But there was this cutouts. I'm happy I booked it, but I
Sure.
was just like, oh, I was like, I guess that's what you do is you just have to just, make yourself as much as the part, like clothing wise, but still just be
Yeah.
you, you
Okay.
know? And so I hope that answered the question. I don't know if I was,
No,
yeah.
I know where
Yeah.
exactly where you're going here. Because, like I said, I've talked to tons of different actors, and a lot of times they'll be like, I know I'm going to get cast for something like this, or I have a good feeling. So I want
Mhm.
to look as authentic as I can, whether it's tattoos or facial makeup or
Yeah.
how they just come in and have a hat on or a certain kind of garb. I do think it all makes a difference because nowadays, gosh, it's hard for you folks. All the time I see how much tighter it's getting and how in-person
Yeah.
auditions still aren't back 100%. And of course, there's strikes going on, and I'm like, God. It's rough for you guys. So
It's
I'm like, you
rough
got to use
stuff.
every tool.
Uh-huh.
You really
Uh-huh.
do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, the other thing is this. Another attribute you have. So in 2019, you directed a project called A Star is Burnt. So tell me
Yes.
about that.
So this was kind of that's so funny. This is kind of it was for a friend, I would say. So my business partner, Linda Joe, she's amazing. She's wonderful.
Okay.
She's my right hand woman when it comes to shows and everything like that.
Cool.
But she has a friend who says, "Hey, I've always wanted to make something that is just for him, you know." And he says,
Yeah.
"I don't know how to do it, but I wrote this little script and, I thought it would be fun to do." And so me and her were just like, "Hey, we'll help him out." And we did it for free.
Okay.
It was kind of just helped us get our feet wet. And he had
Of
like a nice
course.
location where like a really nice studio where we could film things. And we had an
Mhm.
apartment and all this. So, and it also gave us a chance to hone our skills more. This was like 7 years ago. Golly, this is when I first moved here. Wow, time is flying. But yeah, but it gave us a real chance for me to be able to. That was kind of my first, I would say, directorial debut
Yeah.
for a
I saw it.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, I mean, I had kind of done stuff like little YouTubey stuff, but this was like, oh, we got to put it together. We're gonna edit it. I need to make sure
Yeah.
the angles look right, and I have like random friends or my stand-ins for things and lighting and all that stuff and coloring. And so it was an awesome experience. It was stressful, but it seems like that's what me and Linda thrive off of is just situations that are stressful, but then we learn so much that we can take into the next project we go in. But it turned out great. We didn't put it on the festival circuit or anything. This is just for him to
Ah,
do. It was
okay.
kind of it was in the vein of Star is Born, but it was about a
Okay.
chef, a woman who's trying to be a chef, I guess, and then she gets helped out, and it was just a fun little thing to do. But it it gave us a lot of experience, and it
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. Yeah, yeah,
Who doesn't want to get more experience in this industry? That's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, never be afraid to try every hat on.
right.
Writer, director, gaff, get to the theater, do all of this stuff. It doesn't hurt, especially
It doesn't
nowadays.
hurt.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Now, you and I met because I heard about this wonderful production that you just did called Mutt, which is a new musical comedy that you took on and premiered at the Hollywood Fringe Film Festival.
Uh-huh.
Let's try that again. Hollywood
Yes,
Fringe Festival. I'll get it right yet.
there it is. Yes,
So I have a
theater.
couple different questions relative to this. I had read that it took you approximately 4 or 5 years to finally get it there.
Yeah.
What was going on? Like, were there certain delays or reasons for this, or?
So the process of developing a musical is usually a very long one.
Yeah.
So when we started it, this was in like 2020. Me and my writing partner, Robin Schaefer, excellent, excellent musician. We kind of just wrote it just because we were just like, you know what? Let's do something interesting right now. It's 2020. Nothing's
Mhm.
going to happen that will
Right.
stop any of our momentum. And so we wrote a couple songs for this. We wrote what I think we wrote one song that isn't in the show. We were very
Yeah.
proud of it. And then there was a festival, the National Alliance of Musical Theater. They had a 15-minute musical festival. So we wrote three songs and some scenes, just submitted it, and we got top 20 or top 12, something like that. We didn't make it all the way, but we're like, huh, I guess we have a little something.
Yeah.
And then end of March happened and everything's gone with COVID. And so we're like, okay, so we're just stuck in our homes. He was in Germany and
Yeah.
I was here, and we're like, well, let's just finish the show because they have a longer version of the festival coming up. So then we spent the next couple months writing the show,
Okay.
writing all the songs for it, submitted for the festival, and then you wait and you wait. And so again, COVID had made it so in-person things aren't happening, so we didn't make it into the festival until the following year, but it was cool. We did
Okay.
top eight out of what, 450 480 shows, so we were top
Oh
eight in the
gosh.
nation with it, which was great. And
Okay.
so with this, it's always a progression, meaning like you'll do some readings to do um, kind of hone it out, see how
Mhm.
songs, I'll see how the audience responds to it. Then we went to the festival in New York, which was great. We got some really good
Mm.
feedback from some producers and stuff, got some interest. We came back and got licensed at Arizona State University. And so we did the performance there. And like with each iteration, you're making the story better, you're making the
Yeah.
songs better, you're finding what fits and what doesn't. Then we did this musical pet adoption, which was quite fun, a reading of the musical, but we
Oh
partnered
yeah.
with all these local rescues, which
Sure.
is cool. And then finally we get to the festival. So it's literally just building and building so that when you do start hiring actors and costumers and set designers, you're not still having to take pieces away or add stuff that doesn't work. You can have kind of the
Sure.
full picture of it. So that's why the process is just making it tighter and tighter and tighter. And so now we're here. And so our next step is getting into a nice several week run, hopefully at the end of the fall, at a nice theater in LA. So
Crossing fingers on that one.
thank you. Thank you.
To to all the very many of us that might not got a chance to see it, please give us a synopsis of the musical comedy itself, please.
Okay, so it's called Mutt. It's about a three-legged shelter dog
Mhm.
named Mutt and his chew toy dragon and their journey to find a forever home in Hollywood. It is an adult type of musical. It's more of a, I'd say, a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure meets a Rick and Morty, if you would think of it that way. So it's a lot of adult comedy. There's a lot of adult content and scenes that are involved. There is a villain who goes by the name of Beau Extraordinary and his tiger cub, Cuddles, who are also trying to find their forever in Hollywood when it comes to fame and fortune.
Sure.
And they use these couple of friends to get there. And hilarity ensues, I'll say.
So, since I didn't get a chance to be able to watch it and give my own observations, what kind of feedback did you get from the folks that attended it? What did they have to say about your production?
They loved it, which we kind of knew they would. We have a feeling about like how people, we had did a workshop of it prior to this, so we
Yeah.
had about that was a sold out one, so maybe had 200 and something people come. They gave us all the feedback, and we made changes that we needed to make.
Okay.
With it, it's some of the feedback was just about If we had more money, honestly, we could have made it into a much more um, a show that people could visually see that was more stunning. I
Yeah.
would say we would have more costumes, we would have more set pieces, we would have all that type of stuff. But overall, it was a great show. We people gave me feedback about how to make Mutt stand out even more, even though he's an excellent character. But it's just we have little nuance things that says maybe try this, and we go, oh, we're always about feedback. We're always about making this better. But the overall reception was more than we could have hoped. It was great.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
To any person who might be watching this at some point and saying to themselves, musical theater, do I want to tackle that? Because obviously there's a difference between doing a play, just a
Mhm.
straight play, and doing musical theater. So can you tell me what's the biggest difference and would you steer a person still to musical
Mhm.
theater knowing all that you do?
I love musical theater. I love plays too, but I find musicals to be a step up when it comes to expression because again, you sing because words can't capture all that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And I just feel that there's so much for me anyways. I think theater is for me, straight theater's played is more about real life and about
Yeah.
real life experiences and dealing with the day to day in that sense. But musical theater, because I'm a fantasy writer, I can do so much more. I love spectacle. I love big shows. I love big casts. I love dancing and flipping and swinging from things, you know? And I
Yeah.
just feel that's just for me is that I think there's just so much more that can be done on the stage when you have singers and dancers. So if you're a singer, if you're a dancer, get into some musical theater. Plays will be there. I've been tons of them, but singing and dancing, my kind of show. So,
Got it. I don't want to forget to mention one of the most beautiful things. One of the reasons I wanted to cover this is, of course, because you turn around and take proceeds and help build awareness for shelter dogs. And that's a big deal. That's a very big deal. So,
mhm.
was that something that came from personal experience and encouraged you to want to do this? Or how did that all come about?
It's interesting. I love watching dog videos, like those ones just sit at home and you just see a dog who's does something cute or it's hurt and they help it. I like watching like the cows get their hooves fixed. I just think it's so cool to see how an animal can be helped when they can't
Yes.
really advocate for themselves as much as they would like to. And so being able to have something in this show that can bring that connection between
Mhm.
human and animal, I think is great. And so with that, when we first did, I'm trying to think of when we first wrote it, and it was about a shelter dog, and I was watching all these videos, and I was like, wouldn't that be cool if I could invite some of them to come check it out, and then maybe we could
Oh, yeah.
do something. And so that's when we did LA's first musical pet adoption. And so that's where we partnered with these three different rescues.
Yep.
And then we did a presentation of our show. But I didn't realize how big it would get. And so I just contacted when I said, hey, we're doing this show. It's about shelter dogs. If you guys want to come and help out. And they're like, oh my gosh. And they jumped on it. So there's a thing called Hair of the Dog Vodka. That's with the Animal Spirits Foundation. Yeah, they're great.
Okay.
So they partnered with us, and like proceeds went to their foundation. And then we started doing research on like doggy tarot and doggy sound baths and doggy it was just like there's all these things for dogs that doggy yoga, all that stuff, and just people love dogs, and we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, people love it so much, and we have a show about shelter dogs. Let's combine the two and see what we can come up with. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so we started just working with a lot of people. Like we've gone to like the what do you call it the Wolf Pack. Well, I can't think of it with Kismet. We did some stuff with them. Um, we done what is it? Doggy sips. I can't think. Yappy hours, things like that. And so it's
Oh,
just we just love to just help dogs and just we love dogs. Like my business partner, she has a shelter dog named Sesame, who's kind of our
yes.
mascot. And so yeah, so we just think that we have a unique way of bringing more awareness to animal welfare, and that we want more people to be involved in it. So
Amen. Thank you
Hmm.
for that. I appreciate it. So, moving forward, besides Mutt, what else do you have going on that we need to know about, or what's going to be happening with you in the coming months?
Well, in the coming months, we do have the release of our cast album for Mutt. So we want to get as many people streaming that as possible. So
Okay.
everybody be on the lookout, www.muttthemusical.com, themuttmusical.com.
Yes.
And then besides that, we have some television things that we're working on. Me and Linda, we're a little partnership going through. So we have a couple shows that we're pitching, some reality stuff.
Okay.
Um, we have two other musicals that we will be doing. I said the K-pop one, but we also have another one that's a little bit more ethereal and fun. The things are going to be coming about with that. We're going to be do some readings for it. Um, yeah, it's just going to be a lot of music, a lot of theater, a lot of television things. And then we're going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival just to go
Ooh,
check some things out. We're not
okay.
entered in that yet, but we kind of like I've gone a couple times. Linda hasn't, so I'm bringing her there, and we're gonna go explore the theater world in the UK.
Nice.
And yeah, yeah. So be on the lookout for some new shows that are gonna pop up, or new auditions for things. I would say to
Yes.
people if they're in the LA area.
And we don't want to forget, and then you're going to contact Giannis and let him know that someone told you you're a doppelganger, and
I'm
then all
right
of a sudden
high
you're going to be
there.
famous because he's the Greek freak, and you're going to be like, dude, let's do a plan.
Let's
Partner.
go. Can he sing?
He
See, that's the problem.
actually, yes.
That's the problem.
I do honestly think because he does a lot of these dad videos, because
Hmm.
during the basketball season, of course, and he's still like he's posting, he does dad jokes a lot. And then
Yeah,
sometimes he'll do these little Greek sort of singing things, and it's so cute because he's trying so hard. And I'm
yeah.
like, he's the man. I'm like, I see a partnership. And I know your publicist,
If
so
you
I
can
think
broker
maybe
that, if you can
hook it
make
up.
that happen, we're happy to chat. Happy to chat
I
with
love
them.
it.
So please make it happen. I'm
I
ready.
love that. Don't want to forget, folks, his name is Marcus Terrell Smith. If people want to find you on social media or otherwise, what's the best way to do that?
You can go to at Professor Quill. Quill is spelled Kuill. That is
Yes.
my Instagram. And then you can just go on Facebook, Marcus Terrell Smith. You
Mhm.
can go for more about the show at the Mutt Musical, just at the Mutt Musical on Instagram
Yes.
and TikTok. Yeah, and that is where I'm at, I tell you.
IMDb. We don't want to forget
IMDb
that.
as well. If you want to do that, IMDb, I'm with Great Talent Group. If you want to chat with any of the agents or anything and get me a job, I'm here. So let's do that. Yeah,
Exactly. Just type in Marcus Terrell Smith. It's that simple.
it'll all pop up.
Yes.
It'll all
But
pop up.
again, I have enjoyed this tremendously, and I
Me
have
as
to
well.
say, most actors and most writers and really artisans don't ever get a chance to hear this very often. So I always make it a point to say to folks, I don't think you're really aware of the contributions that you give not only to your own community, but to the people that you may not see. So I'm kind of speaking on behalf of all of them, saying thank you so much for all the hard work that you do. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. That's touches my heart. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay, we're going to stop.